After school, it was time for a second meeting of our Restore the Literature Club Association. Of course, no such association really existed, and the only two members were Yuki and myself. But it's a thought that counts, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Making my way to the school library, I found Yuki sitting quietly in the exact same spot as yesterday. Just how early did she come here anyway? Yo.
Yo.
I greeted her casually and she returned the greeting with a smile. The hesitant, shy, and fragile sort of smile. Like a snowflake that would break if you so much as touched it with your fingertip. Or maybe that was just my imagination. But she definitely gave off that kind of a feeling.
Did you meet my sister?
Huh? Yeah. The sudden question surprised me, as I had met the girl just earlier this morning. I guess these two sisters were really close.
She's a bit mean at times, but she still means well.
That so? I'd like to know just what I did to get on her nerves like that on the first place.
I can't say.
I let out an empty sigh and opened up the book I never had the chance to read yesterday. While my eyes followed the flow of the words, my thoughts were elsewhere. So far, no one had shown up to join the literature club. Meanwhile, the other clubs were actively recruiting members with their own booths, flyers, performances, and the like. Thinking of all that, I'd be rather surprised if anyone would voluntarily join a half-assed group like ours, just lounging around here in the school library. But at the moment, it really wasn't too bad. I was only reading the book half-heartedly, occasionally sneaking a glance at Yuki. But just then, she suddenly jumped up from her seat, causing me to nearly fall off mine as I snapped out of my daydreams.
This won't do. We can't just sit around here like this.
Calm down, not so loud.
I mean, we should try to come up with something that suits a literary club better.
While it was pretty sudden, in the end it was still pretty much like her. While Yuki was certainly shy, it also seemed that she could be pretty serious at times. As for her idea, something that suits a literary club, huh? Then an anthology or something along those lines?
It doesn't have to be anything like that. Right now I just feel like I want to write a story as my current self. No, please forget about what I said.
Well, even if you're told to, it's not that simple. I guess she's still pretty embarrassed about actually showing her writing to someone else.
Sometimes the dialogue is missed by the voice, somehow.
Oh well, we can just take it easy and say that for now. We're aiming for a collection of short stories and such. But if both of us were to write a story, I guess we'd still need a few more writers for even publishing a newsletter.
I think there's a person who could write another one.
With 3 short pieces, we'd be pretty much cutting the borderline, I guess. Still, if nothing else, it might attract more potential members. Maybe someone would end up reading my story and think, even I can do better than that. Still, don't tell me the third person she thought of was actually her sister. And now that I think about it, while I did volunteer myself, I've got no actual ideas and I'm not all that sure if I could really write a story either. The last time I actually wrote something must have been 3 years ago or so, and back then, I was pretty much just imagining myself into various fantasy settings. Honestly, it's a little embarrassing remembering all that. Nope, that's definitely something I shouldn't show to a single living person, I thought to myself. The next day, Yuki never came to the library. I had no idea why, so I still ended up sitting here for the better part of an hour until I realized she probably wouldn't be showing up today. Days like this, huh? I thought to myself while staring out the window. Not that there was too much to see, though. Was there a meaning to spending my days like this? Just lounging around? Well, I certainly wouldn't achieve a thing like this. You eat, sleep, and fill the quota of those tiny routines for each day. So, often I'd try concentrating on the various things in store for the future. On a school day, that would be the weekend, or the next vacation.
I also noticed that sometimes he uses different words than we can see on the screen.
And of course, someday, I'd have a girlfriend, aim for college. find out what I want to do for a living, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's still time, right?
Yeah, of course.
Well, this is worthless, I thought, interrupting the two-way monologue inside my head. I picked up my stuff and decided to call it a day. While that was hardly a solution, it was all I could think of for now. The next morning, I met Yumi, Yuki's troublesome sister, at the class again. Yet you could tell that there was something different about her today.
What if that's the same person?
Morning. Yuki asked me to tell you that she's sorry about missing yesterday's club meet.
Okay, that's not one person, I guess then.
A huge difference to yesterday's foul mood. It was as if there was something melancholic about her expression.
No, not a problem, really. But what was the reason in the end?
Jeez, do you have any sense of privacy?
Her melancholy, or whatever it had been, was completely gone. I felt like an idiot for worrying about someone like her in the first place. Either way, the time for today's club meet eventually came, so I trudged towards the library while trying to think of something to write about. But apparently, today wasn't done with me yet, as yet another unexpected was thrown on my route. The one waiting for me at the school library was none other than Shimizu Yumi.
That might be interesting.
Were you expecting Yuki? Sorry, but it's just me for today.
She looked at me with a mischievous grin on her face, showing that this girl was in fact anything but sorry.
I'm here to fill in for Yuki, and I'm also the third writer for the Literature Club's newsletter.
That figures. Just about the last person I wanted to work with. But I guess that a deal is still a deal, and so I had no other choice but to start working on my part.
I don't know why. Come on.
For now,
Can be
the two of
that
us
bad.
were just scribbling ideas on paper, trying to come up with something to write about. And while I might have said it before, this girl's still pretty easy on the eyes, if she happens to keep her mouth shut. I had a few vague ideas on what I wanted to write, so I'd spin these around in my head, occasionally writing a word or two on the paper. Still, it would be an overstatement to say that I was actually getting any work done either. Meanwhile, Yumi had gone completely silent. Something pretty uncharacteristic of her, I thought.
Any progress on your side?
I mean, what's that got to do with you? It's none of your business.
While that's what she said, something was definitely off here. From that surprised look on her face to the tone of her voice, she was acting completely like another person. Just what was going on here?
Shizumu-san?
Shimizu, not Shizumu.
She reached for her school bag, then taking out eyeglasses and putting them on her eyes. Wait, why did she have those to begin with?
Yumi, I'm normally wearing contacts, but I actually forgot them today, okay?
With her glasses on, this girl really looked like her sister. Though, it wasn't just the looks, she was also acting just like Yuki. Was this supposed to be some sort of a prank?
Probably.
Maybe the two sisters switched places while I wasn't looking, and Yumi was going to walk into the room any second now, laughing at the look on my face. I took a quick look around myself, and it sure didn't seem like a prank.
I'm sorry, I don't get it. Just what the heck is going on here?
Sorry. I'm actually Yuki. Or maybe I'm not. It's kind of complicated.
I have no idea what is going on here as well.
Yumi and I are actually sharing the same body. But originally, we were different.
The heck?
It all started half a year ago. There was an accident, and I remember being ran over by a car. Next thing I knew, I was somehow in my sister's body. We share the same experiences, but it seems like our thoughts are different, and we keep switching around like this. My sister tells me it's okay, and that it can't be helped. But I'm sure I'm causing a lot of trouble to her. She's been hiding my existence, and we've been living like this.
She was on the verge of tears, with her fragile form shivering on its own. I don't care, even if Yumi's probably going to beat me to a pulp later. I embraced her and held her against my chest as she cried. I was probably the first person to find out about all this, though I couldn't really say that I understood it completely even after her explanation. I lost my sense of time as I held her against myself, until she finally spoke to me again.
There's a place I would like to take you to.
Not a single word was said as I followed her. Meanwhile, I couldn't stop thinking of what she had said earlier. If I were to take her words seriously, it would mean that she was either a lunatic or... I couldn't even come up with a proper expression. The only way it could be described was as something supernatural.
Yeah, that's something supernatural. No other explanation,
While I
guess.
had met both Yuki and Yumi before, and neither of them had seemed like lunatic material, I still couldn't comprehend the other explanation. The two of us took a bus to the next town, eventually arriving to the local hospital. I waited by myself at the lobby while Yuki had a word with the receptionist. After a few minutes, she returned, leading me along the white, soundless corridors of this hospital ward. Long-term care, read the sign that hung above us as we continued forward silently. There was something gray and melancholic about this atmosphere. I dared not ask her where we were headed, but I already had a hunch by now.
Yeah, I think I too.
She led me in front of a single room and opened the door.
The other guy is in coma, right?
Inside, it seemed like the place had somehow been removed from the rest of the world. A girl lied on the bed, surrounded by various types of machines and monitors. The ventilator pumped air with a constant pace, while an IV machine recorded her condition with various numbers and graphs. The whole room was sickeningly clean and devoid of any life. If Yuki really was living inside her sister's body, I could only imagine what she must have felt like seeing herself like this.
Somehow, it's kind of weird when I realize that I'm supposed to be looking at myself.
There was a short pause, as if she was gathering her courage before starting her explanation.
I already mentioned that I was in an accident, right? According to my sister, there were various operations to save me. While all of them should have been successful, my body is still in a coma, and all this has been going on for half a year already. My sister was devastated, and I think she feels responsible for protecting me. But I'm sure that she's been suffering much more than I have.
I watched as her expression slowly grew from confused to saddened, but she still forced herself to continue.
Yumi, she asked her parents if she could move on her own. While they thought it was because of her memories, I'm sure it was also because she wanted to protect me. If anyone else was to know, I'm sure they wouldn't understand.
While I tried to imagine how another person would react to all this, I wasn't all too sure about myself either. To Yuki and Yumi, I was practically an outsider, someone who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe that was why I could act as calmly as this.
Maybe in a good place, in a good time, actually.
I'm sorry. As she cried, I could only hold her while apologizing time after time. Honestly, just what am I supposed to feel about all this? Afterwards, I also learned that Yumi had been skipping class while Yuki was in control. At the same time, Yuki herself would only spend her time by reading at the school library. Yumi had thought it would at least be possible to let Yuki join the literary club while using her name, but as it turns out, the literary club had already been disbanded. Yet another morning, just before class. Yumi surprised me from pondering Yuki's condition. That's right, she had also seen all that from yesterday, at least according to their story. For myself, I still wasn't all too sure. A girl sharing the body of her sister? Yeah, right. Naturally, I kept all these thoughts to myself.
That's good.
About yesterday. Hopefully, I don't need to remind you that you can't tell this to anyone.
And those were the first words out of her mouth. Not that anyone else would believe the story, though someone might think of sending her off to a psychologist. So it was no wonder when I found myself hesitating for a little while. After school was over, I once again headed to the school library for the unofficial literary
Why didn't you say that you
club.
don't
The total member
can't
count
do
of
that?
2. Or should that be 3?